Hello and welcome to another edition of Las Vegas Pitch Presents. We're going to have a fun-filled time with Alyse Tenney, eXp Realty, coming on to her 13th year in real estate. And we're going to talk about veterans, we're going to talk about divorce, and we're going to talk about predictions that are coming up. First, let's talk about veterans. We just got through Memorial Day, and oh my gosh, thank you for the service and the sacrifice. And you love veterans.
Oh my gosh, I love helping veterans. They are my favorite client. They're so great. They're so funny, but they do have some special needs sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's really fun to be able to get to know them and to be able to address their very specific wants, needs, etc., to get them into a great house.
So what kind of challenges have you seen with some of the veterans in regards to having helped them get into a home? What are some of the challenges?
The saddest challenge that I see is that at some point, someone communicated that you can only use your VA loan one time, and that's not the case. You can use it a lot of times. So I'll get veterans who are in their 60s and their 70s, and they'll indicate that I've been saving up my VA loan. I'm ready now.
And you're like, you can use it. You can
use it multiple times. Maybe you
yeah,
could adjust
100%. And I've heard of veterans who have said, "Oh, I already used it. I can't use it again."
Oh, me too.
And that's something that you can continue to use your VA eligibility over and over from one house to the next, as long as you sell that house or you have remaining eligibility.
Remaining eligibility. If you have remaining eligibility, you can even buy a second home, right? With the
I've
VA?
seen people buy 3 homes. It just depends on which, because some will go to one duty station, they'll buy another one at the next duty station, and maybe they have enough left over for the third, but it's such a great loan, right?
Oh, it's the best loan, and you get like such great rates, and if you have a very skilled agent, you can get 0 down. It does take skill, because if agents aren't skilled in it, it's my job to explain it to the other agent. Like, hey, this is a win-win for both of us. And so that way I can get all their closing costs covered. That's always my goal. And I succeed probably 85% of the time. It depends on the market.
Right.
But I feel like we're in a market again where I could get you closing costs.
It has changed a little bit, right? The market has changed a little bit. How do you go about working with the veteran and educating them on the particular houses when they go shop?
Okay, so if the veteran is local, then that is helpful because they can actually see the homes in person. And I'll be able to tell them, like, look, if you want closing costs, maybe this isn't quite the home, but we can go over here, because there are like some hot neighborhoods. If a house has 10 offers on it, I may or may not be able to get you closing costs on it.
Right.
But I also work with a lot of veterans who are overseas, and I've sold 15 homes on FaceTime.
You just walk through the
I walk through,
like
and then once they decide on the home, then when I'm doing the home inspection, I'm like, okay, you're going to have to join me on the home inspection for at least like 20 minutes of it. No matter what you're doing, like take your lunch, drop whatever you're doing. I don't care if you're in Italy. This is the time of our home inspection. It could be the middle of the night, but you have to have a tape measure, and I'm going to have a tape measure. Because the worst thing for me would be if they walk into a home going, this is a lot smaller than I thought. So I measure the rooms with them and make them measure where they are too, so they really feel.
So they can get the idea.
It's been great. They're always like, oh, this feels so much bigger than I thought it would, or this house is so much greater than I thought it was going to be. So yay!
Right.
That's good.
So some veterans, like a lot of them, don't have a lot of money, right? They don't have a lot saved, and what you're saying is they can actually go out and potentially buy a property because it's 0% down. But even if they have no money for closing costs, that's where you come in.
That's where I come in. You need a skilled agent to be able to handle the no closing cost things, because truly it's explaining it to the other side. Like sometimes we bump up the offer a little bit to be able to cover the closing costs. And if we feel like the appraisal will allow for that, then we bump up the offer a little bit. But our goal, especially if they have zero money, really you have to have about $2,000. You need to do at least, normally I can negotiate $1,000 earnest money deposit. that I can get back to you, typically at the end. And then you need about $350 for the home inspection and $650, $700 for the appraisal.
So a lot of people have a question, earnest money deposit. What does an earnest money deposit actually mean?
Okay, I always explain it. It's like opening up a bank account, and it's the bank account in your name, and this is the money you're using to start your bank account. But if you are, just because you can do zero down doesn't mean that my veterans do. Like sometimes they still want to put down 20%. So I'm like, okay, then we just started your bank account, and at the end, you're going to add your 20% to it. So you're just building your bank account until you spend it at the end when you buy the house.
Got it. I call it kind of like a good faith deposit.
Yeah.
It's kind of, you're showing good faith that you're actually going to buy this, and it's a little bit of skin in the game so that the seller knows that you're a serious buyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but even if it's like they're asking for a $5,000 or a $10,000 earnest money deposit, with veterans, about 80% of the time I'm successful in getting it down to just 1,000.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you have the most incredible demeanor. You're so patient, so caring, so loving.
Yeah.
And I know part of that comes from being a mother of five, right? So the patience level that you have to have. So does it take patience to work with, essentially someone who may be brand new and not really understand how to get through it? How do you stay, how do you educate them and stay patient with them?
Well, I think the very first and most important step with any buyer is that you need to have a buyer consultation and just explain, like, okay, these are the steps. There is going to be stress. Like, this is not stress-free, but I'm going to hold your hand through it, and I'm going to absorb as much of the stress for you as I can. And we're always going to pair with a great lender, because a great lender makes it so that you don't have as much stress, because you're going to like handle a whole bunch of things. So it's not like hopefully, the worst would be is that you're under contract and then your lender goes, oh, oops, by the way, you don't qualify, or these numerous things. So that's why choosing a great lender is the most important part for actually achieving your loan.
Yeah, being prepared, understanding what they need, getting all the documentation up front, as opposed to, oh yeah, you sound like you'll qualify. There's so many different things, but it makes a big difference, so that when you go in to make an offer, you can say, this person has gone through the entire pre-approval process, submitted all the documents,
like they've already gone through underwriting.
And call my lender, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I always do.
Yeah.
And in fact, when I make an offer, I normally include my lender on it, so that even if they don't connect on the phone, the lender can go, I've completely, fully underwritten this person. They're golden, good to go.
Yeah.
Let's get this house.
That makes a big difference.
Big
right?
difference.
Yeah. So let's shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
We go back to some of the patience and the caring. Mm-hmm. You also have handled a lot of situations with divorce clients. Mm-hmm. And that's a whole nother ball game.
It is.
What would you recommend someone that may be going through divorce right now? Where should they start? What would you recommend they do?
Well, it depends. So sometimes, just based on the divorce, like, you really can't do anything until it's official. But a lot of times, like, a lot of attorneys now are recommending that as part of the divorce process that you sell your home. And you have to have like a neutral agent, or you both have to agree upon it. And so sometimes I do get called in to sell a home. The judge, I'm on a few judges lists, and the judge will say,
in
okay.
a good way.
In a good way. I'm not in jail. They'll be like, okay, here are 3 agents if there's a lot of fighting. And it does require very delicate working in situations like that. I make sure that I never just text one of them. I never communicate with just one. You have to communicate with both, just to make it smooth. And so that's on selling the house. And then after that, you can help them both purchase a home. So,
and that marital home is always, there's a lot of emotion. that is a tide to that because of
There
potentially the memories and the kids growing up and what happens there. So sometimes trying to manage through, you have to be a psychologist to a certain
You
degree,
do.
right?
You're a therapist, real estate agent, because you're trying to help them. This is a really sad time. You're trying to be so compassionate with that, but also be optimistic. Help them be optimistic about their future, that they're going to make new memories somewhere else. And, surely if you're going through divorce, there are some not pleasant memories in that home, and you're going to kind of, let those memories go with the selling of the home so that you can move forward stronger. And I love helping people buy a home when they are, when they've gone through a lot of trauma and drama. Yeah. There is a lot that you have to work with the lender. Like I tell them, if there was dishonesty in the marriage, there's probably dishonesty in the finances. And that creates some trauma for you, helping them through that. I personally went through that. So there are some prizes, but we're here to walk you through it.
Yeah, and it's very common. I mean, I was divorced, you've been divorced.
Right.
It's never fun. But I think having somebody that is there to guide you through understanding the steps to get to where you want to be, because ultimately you have to find housing. And I think the housing is either a rental house or it's buying a home. And that's where you can come in and basically help guide them into that particular home. And sometimes buying a home is not always the best option, right?
Right. Yep. Sometimes you need to rent and just kind of let everything cool down for a minute. So do a year in a rental, and then probably 6 months into the rental, then we'll set up a search and you can be ready to go at that point.
Ready to go.
And for me, I purchased the home that I was renting.
Oh, you did? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, it was the second home that I rented after my divorce, and I was able to work with the owners, and I purchased that home because I just didn't want to move again. Like, the home's not my favorite, but it's good enough.
But it's
and
gonna
that's
work.
been fine.
Yeah.
Like, I've liked it. My kids didn't have to move again, which was what they wanted. Like, we all agreed, we don't love this house, but we don't want to move again.
Right. So the steps that they would go through, walk them through what kind of the steps would be to get started on potentially understanding whether or not they could buy.
First, they need to contact their lender. The very first step that I tell any person who calls me and say, hey, I'm thinking about buying a home. Have you talked to a lender yet? That's very first. So they need to
I didn't set that up.
I know,
for me,
seriously. Well, and what I love is that I love lenders like you who will go, hey, maybe you're not quite ready yet, but here's a list of what you need to do. And if you do these, 10 things in 6 months, you're going to be ready. I love that. So just
it's a
giving
game
them a
plan.
list.
Getting them a
is.
game plan, ready to go.
Yeah. So that's the very first step. You have to talk to your lender and to see where you are. You might qualify for more than you think. You might qualify for less than you think. The worst thing that I could possibly do is take someone to go out and see homes without them having talked to their lender before, because I could be showing you homes that you don't qualify for, and then after that, nothing I ever show you is going to, but I really liked that home that was $200,000 more than you could really afford. Like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's mean to do that. Like, tease you.
Tease you, I know. And I would recommend too that sometimes when they're going through the settlement, they're getting together a marital settlement agreement and trying to understand, what should they take a lump sum? Should they get child support? Should they get spousal support? And some people, they don't understand. They think getting a big chunk of money may help them, but it could actually hurt them from buying a home.
Oh,
Little game
I
planning.
didn't know that. That's a great game plan. Yeah, so I have them talk to the
getting
lender
them
first.
before, I think, almost before that marital settlement agreement is finalized, so that they do understand what their situation is. And maybe they can take more money in a spousal as opposed to child support. If a child happens to be like 15, you can't use that child support because it'll expire in 3 years. So there's definitely some setup in the beginning that can really help them get prepared to get into the
And
home.
that's why you go to a good lender. Exactly, because I didn't know that. I did not know that 15 was the age. So, yeah.
Yeah, you have to
There
show
we go.
continuance 3 years.
Now I have more knowledge to
Well,
be
now
able
there
to
you
pass
go.
on.
That's
Be
good.
This is why you need to talk to a lender. So first step is you have to talk to your lender, and then we see what you really qualify for, and then between us, we're all a team. That's so important. You have to be a team. And we're all working together trying to help them realize their dreams, because buying a home is a dream for everyone, and it's an honor to be part of it. But we have to, help you, guide you, protect you.
Yeah.
Protect.
So divorce can definitely be challenging, but it can actually move you into a situation that is much better than it was before. So now let's go to the market predictions.
Yes.
The market has changed considerably over the last few years. We're here now, 2024, mid-year. What do you see the market doing over the remaining year?
Well, typically in an election year, like the interest rates go down.
We're
'Cause, you
hoping for them to go down.
We're
Yes.
waiting.
We see it go.
We're waiting
Uh-huh.
for them to go down, but I still feel like it's a great time to buy, because once they go down, then the prices of the homes are going to go up, because it's all about supply and demand. So right now, actually currently, like this exact second, it feels pretty good.
Yeah.
Like an old market, pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID.
Feels like a pre-COVID market.
Yeah.
Like there are a good number of buyers and there are a good number of sellers, and you're able to negotiate a fair price instead of over-offering or under-offering. Like it just feels good
So
right
it's
now.
kind of balanced
Yeah.
because of the rates, probably.
Rates
even though
came
there's
down
not
just
a
a
ton
tiny
of inventory.
bit.
Yeah.
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 But it feels pretty good right now to me.
What do you think will be the tipping point that will bring more buyers back into the marketplace?
Lower interest rates.
Lower interest rates? Yeah. Is it in the 6s?
If we drop below 7, like it really get like solidly into the 6s, then my phone rings off the hook.
Yeah. I think.
But right now I have a ton of sellers, which has been interesting.
Oh,
like
really?
I have 7 right now.
Oh, nice.
I know.
So tell me why they're selling. Why are they selling? What has spurred them on to sell? Because there has been a lack of inventory in Las Vegas.
Right.
And it's good to hear
I
that there's
know.
a lot
So
more sellers.
busy.
But what's happening there?
It's just life transitions. I have 2 that are they're elderly, and they just don't want to take care of their home anymore. They're just not able to do it. And so they want to sell their home and move into a rental, because
Move into a rental. Interesting.
it's like
Okay.
a Sun City rental, because
Okay.
they're
They're
just like, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I want a landlord who I can call up and go, hey,
fix this.
come
yeah.
fix this.
Right.
And they're both in their 80s.
Okay.
And so they just don't want to do it anymore. I have someone else who, they're a young couple, they're fantastic, just go-getters. This is the 3rd house I've helped them with. And they're selling because they decided, they're both in the medical industry, and they decided to start a new company. And it's like, they have 3 little kids, and it's like a play place.
Oh,
an
wow.
indoor play place for kids. Like so great
Oh,
during
that's
the
what they're
summer.
starting? Oh,
And they
wow,
already did
okay.
it, and so they want to sell their house so that way they have more capital to invest in their business and to open up some other ones.
Other ones.
I'm like,
Okay.
okay,
There's a life transition.
that's a life transition.
Yeah.
They both work so hard on their medical. Like he's a nurse practitioner and she's a medical surgical nurse or tech for brain and heart surgeries. So they're very educated, and they're like, we need some place for our kids to go play when it's hot.
I think people are also just kind of getting tired of just being stuck.
Right.
And so I think it's just that time period where, like you said, the life transitions, move up, move down, family bigger, getting older, retirement. So that would be great if we have a lot more people come into the market because of that.
I'm still getting a lot of out-of-town clients because, to be honest, people can't afford to retire in California. I'm from Sacramento. I've lived in Las Vegas for 30 years. And I was just talking to my parents. I'm like, hey, like it's getting time to hopefully retire.
Yeah.
My dad's going to sell his business. I'm like, please buy a house in Las Vegas so that you can live here 6 months and 1 day, and so that you aren't taxed crazily on selling your business.
Right,
But we'll see. They're lifelong Californians, so I don't know if I'll get them here. But
It could be tough.
I am still getting a ton of Southern California people
Yeah.
who just can't afford to retire there.
Yeah, we're seeing that all the time. I get a lot of phone calls with the California area codes.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, here's another one.
And they 100% of the time, without doubt. I've heard great things about Summerlin and Henderson.
That's the first two, yeah.
First thing, I'm like, well, there are a lot of areas of town. Let's discuss what you want, and let me help you find a good area, one that fits. And sometimes when they come in the first time, I'll just take them and we'll go see a house in like each part of town. I feel like a tour guide. But there is a feel to each part of town, and we've
Right.
got to find their feel.
Yeah.
So that's really
Get
fun.
get their groove on, figure
Yeah,
out where
just
they
like,
want to be.
okay, what feels right to me? Is it Summerlin? Is it Green Valley? Is it Henderson? Is it out Lake Las Vegas? I do a lot of
It's
Lake Las
cool out
Vegas
there.
too.
It's
beautiful.
very beautiful. But it's a
beautiful.
specific lifestyle,
Spe-
not
very
for everybody,
specific.
right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you have to be okay with being like 15 minutes
Remote.
from the freeway.
A little bit remote, yeah.
Yeah.
So last words, Alyse. If somebody would like to get in touch with you, how do they get in touch with Alyse, and what should they do?
Yeah, you can look me up on the internet, or maybe
you have a very-
maybe there might be.
A spelling of your name
Yes,
is a little
I
bit
do.
different, right?
It's ALYSE and then Tenney, T as in Tom, ENNEY at gmail.com. So
Okay.
AlyseTenney@gmail.com. And then also my phone number is 702-810-2271.
Well,
So.
she's the best. I would highly recommend Alyse.
It's fun.
Great job.
We'll go
And
have
she
fun. Let's
will-
go shopping.
She is never, it's always a sunny day. I've never seen you without a gloomy day, but
I know.
you bring that sunshine to everybody wherever you go.
Oh, I hope so. Thank
yeah.
you.
Well,
Thank
thanks,
you. It was
Alyse.
fun.
That was
Thanks,
fun.
Bill.
Great job.
I appreciate it.
And we'll see you next time on Las Vegas Pitch Presents.
Great. Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.